His dream of becoming an actor began in childhood when he played a tree in a play and everyone applauded him, even though he just stood still. His parents smiled and took pictures while the sound of applause and cheers echoed everywhere. That was the first time he had ever felt that, so after that day, he decided he would pursue a path in acting. But now the president director asks Kim Hyun-soo if that was the best he could do. The young man apologizes and asks for one more chance, but the director yells irritably, asking who brought him to the set. That man complains, saying it was an attitude problem and that tripping was one thing, but what Hyun-soo did was another. He continues his scolding, saying that asking to try again without permission was very arrogant on the actor's part. The young actor could only keep his head down, listening to it all, and that was the result of his attempt. After that humiliation, Hyun-soo heads to a restaurant to drown his sorrows. Sitting at the table, the young man sighs as he has a drink to try and forget what happened earlier. With the makeup still on his face, he wonders if he should have begged the director for another chance. On the other side of the restaurant, a little boy points at him and says that man is strange. Hearing the child, the young man turns to look and realizes he's drawing a lot of attention. He then covers his face with his hands upon realizing he had forgotten to take off his clown makeup. Discouraged, the young man starts to question if the problem was his lack of acting talent. We're introduced to Kim Hyun-soo, a 28-year-old aspiring actor, or in other words, unemployed. He graduated with a degree in theater and film, but despite his efforts, no one ever recognized his acting. People didn't praise or criticize him, they just ignored him because his acting was so ordinary. And that's exactly what he was, an ordinary actor with nothing special to make him stand out. He thinks about actors who, even after a long time, were recognized and wonders if he'll ever be like them. Suddenly, he overhears a customer asking another if the guy on TV wasn't a good actor. Hyun-soo turns and recognizes that the man was from a very famous daily drama. A young woman at the same table is surprised by the question and looks closely at the television. She says she watches the show because of that artist, and a friend praises the man's acting. Seeing their excitement, the young man decides he also wants to be an actor like that. The young man remembers the day of the play and how happy people were with his simple performance. With a look full of determination, he decides what kind of actor he truly wants to become. The young man puts down his drink, understanding that it's not the time to be drowning himself in alcohol. To cheer himself up, he slaps his own face and says he should look at the script one more time. Immediately, the young man gets up from his chair to leave that place. He promises himself that starting tomorrow he will be a better actor, one step at a time. Leaving the restaurant, he is startled by the horn of a truck coming towards him. The world around him seems to shake with the noise of the rapidly approaching vehicle. The young man's expression is one of pure shock and confusion, not understanding what was happening. His last thought is about going home to study, while his vision showed another scene. He was now seeing through the eyes of someone else who is running from an out-of-control truck. All of a sudden, the scene changes and he appears in a dark alley, wondering where he is. Suddenly, the young man hears footsteps and sees a woman walking alone down the dark street. The young woman stops walking and hugs herself in fear, as she felt a strange presence watching her. Then a strange smile appears on Hyun-soo's face as he lets out a quiet laugh. Controlling the man's body, the young man warns that it's no use going that way because there's no way out. With a frightening smile, he reveals that the path is a dead end for the young woman. While the woman is frozen in fear, the man stares at her from the other side of the alley. Crying, the young woman begs him to spare her and promises to do a good job without charging extra. With an expression of contempt, he asks what she is doing, not understanding anything. The aggressor explains that he just wants to have some fun and doesn't understand why she's acting strangely. The woman apologizes and promises to keep it a secret, but he asks what secret she discovered. Desperate, the young woman begs once more and swears she won't tell anyone what she saw. Ignoring the young woman's pleas, he begins to lash out at her repeatedly, showing no mercy. Next, he picks up a hammer and ironically praises her for discovering his secret. The man says that being too smart isn't good and moves towards her with the tool in his hand. The woman's face fills with terror as she realizes what was about to happen to her. The screen is then filled with a splash of red, hinting at the young woman's tragic outcome. Back in reality, Hyun-soo's eyes widen in pure shock at what he just saw. The young man wakes up in a hospital bed and a nurse asks if he is conscious. He remembers being hit by a truck and wonders how he can be so okay. The nurse corrects him, saying he wasn't hit but went into shock and hit his head. She explains that he has a concussion and was unconscious for 2 days, and now he needs to rest. The young man reflects on whether he was lucky to only have hit his head, and a memory of his fall appears. And after that, he remembers following that woman to have a little fun. The nurse turns around confused, asking what he said, as she didn't understand. The young man is also confused and wonders what he just said, and the nurse apologizes for not hearing. She then informs him that the professor will arrive soon to see him and leaves the room as he agrees. Hyun-soo stares into space as the healthcare professional leaves his room. Suddenly, the images from that horrible nightmare return to his mind, frightening him. He puts his hand on his head and thinks that it was a very bizarre and unsettling dream. The young actor then remembers that he was unconscious for 2 whole days in the hospital. Frightened, he repeats out loud that he was out for 2 days, not believing it. Desperate, he starts looking for his phone, and the nurse tells him it's in the locker next to him. As he grabs the device, he sees he has 62 missed calls, sending him into a panic. He then opens his messages and sees that his senior, Kang Jin, is furious about his disappearance. His eyes widen with anger and despair as he reads the messages full of curses. Without wasting time, the young man presses the button to call his senior back. He tries to apologize, but on the other end of the line, the man yells at him furiously. The senior tells him to get to the set, give the performance of his life, and then disappear from the industry. Kang Jin yells that they still haven't found a replacement and tells him to get to the police station set now. The young man thanks him for the opportunity, and the senior asks why he hasn't left yet. Already dressed, he runs out of the room, and the nurse sees him and asks where he's going. Running down the hall, he thinks about the Yeongdeungpo police station set, determined to get there. Reaching the street, the young actor holds out his hand and hails a taxi in a hurry. Inside the taxi, the young man uses the travel time to rest a bit before arriving on set. He then stops and thinks about what his role was, remembering it was Murder Suspect 2. A short time later, the vehicle stops in front of a large building where the filming will take place. Arriving at the location, he finds his senior and Bose apologizing for the huge delay. Kang Jin replies that he doesn't need to apologize, as he was the one who ruined his own future. The man then says they should finish the job first and talk about it later. In a waiting room, the young actor sits on a couch and starts reading the script for the scene. The scene is number 34, and the script is very simple to follow and memorize. In it, Detective Jin Young-mai interrogates the suspect Jo In-ho, who is played by Hyun-soo. The young man realizes the scene is focused on the detective, and he only needs to say 3 short lines. He thinks that if it were just to express wronged emotions, it would be easy, but his role is smaller. The actor knows that in small roles, one's presence must be kept to a minimum so as not to interfere. You have to control your emotion and presence to blend in with the main and supporting actors. Suddenly, a voice announces that scene 34 is about to start filming right now. With a focused gaze, the young man stands up determined, as his turn to act has finally come. The director says that delays happen and tells him not to be nervous so they can get it done in one go. The young man thinks the director just wants to get it over with, and then the countdown to action begins. A clapperboard snaps to indicate that the first take of scene 34 is rolling. The actress begins her dialogue, saying he must miss the victim since they were lovers. She continues her taunt, saying it's not the time to be silent and that they're just confirming the facts. The detective says they should skip the parts they both already know to make things easier. She asks what he was doing near the victim's house 2 days ago, and the suspect remains silent. With a smile, the young woman says she's going to show him something very interesting. Next, the investigator places a photo on the table for the young man to see. She comments on the quality of dash cams and says her specialty is fieldwork. The woman then shows a photo of the suspect and asks if it's him in the image. The young man's eyes fill with a strange emotion as he stares at the detective. She continues showing more evidence, like a photo from a mall's security camera. The investigator throws more photos on the table, asking why there are so many pictures of him. She then questions why he went so frequently to the place where the victim was. Seeing that he was about to speak, the young woman taunts him, saying he's finally going to open his mouth. Hyun-soo then recites his first line, saying it wasn't him who did it. Next, he continues his line, stating that he's innocent of all charges. The detective smiles condescendingly and says everyone always says the same thing. But suddenly, the actress' expression changes, and she becomes confused by what she's seeing. Her eyes widen in pure fear and shock at the young man's performance in front of her. In her vision, the actor's face looks like a dark, menacing shadow in the room. Hyun-soo's gaze becomes so intense that the actress is terrified and wonders what's wrong with his eyes. He calls her name and the woman responds nervously, then he says he is innocent in that moment. The actor continues, saying he didn't harm Lee Yeon-soo and that he has a good reason for it. With a vacant stare, he says he didn't do it to her because he has no interest in older women. The actress's eyes widen even more at the young man's unexpected and frightening line. Seeing his lead actress's reaction, the director yells to cut the scene immediately. A tense silence falls over the film set as everyone tries to process what just happened. The film crew looks at the actors and the director, not understanding the situation. The director seems thoughtful and a bit shocked by the performance he just witnessed. He then turns to the actor and calls his name with a serious expression on his face. The man asks what he just did and Hyun-soo snaps back to normal, not understanding. Confused, the young man asks what he did, as he didn't realize his performance was so intense. The director tells him to wait in the waiting room and announces a temporary break for everyone. He then calls the camera director, the lead actor, and the one who brought Hyun-soo for a talk. The young actor is even more confused by the order but obeys and leaves the set. The director gathers the people he called to discuss the young man's surprising performance. The senior who brought Hyun-soo apologizes, but the director asks what kind of actor he is. Kang Jin continues to apologize awkwardly for bringing such a problematic actor. The director tells him to stop apologizing and asks where he was hiding this guy. The senior replies that he's just a college freshman with an average acting level. Surprised by the answer, the director repeats the word average with a tone of disbelief. He then turns to the lead actress and asks what she thought of the young man's performance. The young woman, still shaken by the scene, replies that she's not sure what she felt yet. The director says her silence confirms there was definitely something more to the performance. He reflects that the performance wasn't just different from the script, but had something extra. The man concludes it wasn't just the tone or the dialogue, there was something special there. Analyzing the footage, he suddenly yells for them to stop the recording at a specific point. The others are confused by the director's reaction and don't understand what he saw that was so special. With an excited smile, he says the young man's eyes change completely during the scene. He turns to young Jin and asks if he knows what human eyes look like in the dark. The director explains that it's common sense, but people usually ignore it. Human pupils dilate in the dark to let in more light, and that's a natural instinct. But what surprised him was seeing the actor's pupils dilated even in a well-lit place. And that wasn't all, as the young man didn't move an inch while the actress was speaking. He made no gestures and his gaze remained fixed on the actress's eyes the entire time. The director concludes excitedly that it was like watching a real psychopathic criminal act. Then the man calls for young Jin because he has a brilliant idea about what to do. He points and says they need to send the recording of that scene to a certain person. The director then takes out his phone and makes a call to producer Yu Jong-sik. On the other end of the line, a busy woman answers the phone while working on her computer. She complains that she's busy but is surprised when the director mentions a video. The woman's expression quickly changes to one of great curiosity about the call. After receiving the footage, she watches it and is shocked, wondering what it is. Back in the perpetrator's dream, he walks through a dark place without feeling any emotion. The man continues on his way in an elegant suit, but nothing around him excites him. To him, all the dark alleys and empty streets are the same monotonous thing as always. The countless landscapes he sees on his journeys bring him no emotion. The world seems dull and colorless to the criminal who is searching for something more. The only thing that excites him is what awaits him at the end of his boring hunt. He explains that he only needs two things to feel excitement: something sharp and something fragile. The sound of his violent act echoes through the place, and he says he loves to hear it. With a frightening smile, he feels he can finally breathe a little easier. Ha-In-Soo then wakes up startled, with his eyes wide open because of the nightmare. He sits up suddenly, panting and completely shocked by what he just dreamed. A woman beside him asks if he had a nightmare, seeing him in a cold sweat. The young woman with glasses and a pink jacket stares at him with her arms crossed and a serious expression. She says that either way, it was time to wake him up for a talk. The woman then taunts him, asking if he's enjoying life after messing up the set. Confused, the young man asks who she is, as he doesn't recognize her from anywhere. The young woman introduces herself as Go Yeon-ju, leaving the young actor even more lost. He finds the name familiar, and she says she'll get straight to the point because she's impatient. With an intense look, the woman asks what he was thinking when he acted that way. She wants to know what thoughts and emotions were behind that incredible performance. The young man wonders who this strange woman is who appeared out of nowhere to question him. He repeats her name in his mind until he finally remembers where he knows her from. Startled, he stands up suddenly and asks if she is the famous writer Go Eun-ju. The woman confirms it and asks if he's more awake now that he knows who she is. We're told that she is a rising writer in South Korea, known for her thrillers. The young actor bows respectfully and introduces himself to the famous writer. He then realizes she is the head writer for the drama he's acting in. The name of the work is When You Are Consumed by Darkness, and he has a small role in it. The woman offers him a glass of water and tells him to compose himself completely. She then repeats the question, wanting to know what he was thinking during the scene. The young man takes a sip of water and reflects on her question in silence. He realizes that ever since the filming began, he felt that something was very strange. Something was definitely different from normal, but he couldn't explain what it was. He remembers feeling as if emotions that were in his head suddenly exploded. The young man hesitates to answer because if he told the truth, he would probably be committed. Seeing his hesitation, the woman becomes confused and doesn't understand the reason for his silence. He decides the best thing to do is give her a direct and straightforward answer. The actor begins to explain that he imagined what kind of person murder suspect 2 would be. The writer is surprised and a little confused by the young man's unexpected answer. He continues, saying he thought about what kind of person would be dragged into a murder interrogation. The actor explains that Jo In-ho could be someone who missed his ex-girlfriend and was therefore watching her. Or perhaps he was a criminal with other horrible crimes yet to be revealed. The writer listens attentively to the young man's explanation with a fixed and curious gaze. Suddenly, a small smile begins to form on the scriptwriter's face. She starts to laugh, finding the person very funny, and says the approach is interesting, but the woman continues to laugh at the young actor's audacity in creating his own version of the character. With a serious look, she questions him, asking if by any chance he is the writer of the story. The young man is shocked and speechless at the woman's direct and unexpected question. She scolds him for giving personality to the character without considering the writer's intention. Though nervous, he admits that yes, that was his intention when acting. Eun-ju is a little surprised by the young actor's honesty. The young man thinks there's no point in lying, as he wouldn't get away with a lame excuse. The woman says there's nothing to say since he's being so bold and direct. She then composes herself and says it's all right, and that she has already made a decision on the matter. The scriptwriter informs him that the scene they filmed earlier will not be used in the drama. He is disappointed, as he understands this is the consequence of challenging the writer. The young man then turns and asks the director, who is at the door, if he heard the decision. The director was peeking at their conversation from outside the waiting room. With a smile on his face, the man enters the room to join the conversation. The writer asks him to scrap the scene and find another actor, as she is too busy to come back. The young man is confused by the term camera test, and the writer says it is indeed possible. The director laughs, saying it's unusual, but he has no choice but to follow the scriptwriter's orders. The man jokes that she planned everything and that her intuition is better than many veterans. The young actor asks what a camera test is, as he thought he was being fired. The scriptwriter asks if he thinks she would come all the way to the set just to fire a minor actor. She then clarifies that he is being let go, but from the role of murder suspect too. The woman then calls the young man's name to get his full attention for what was coming next. Ju says she can't stand people like him who only believe in their own talent and live for glory. But with a defiant look, she admits she doesn't exactly hate this annoying type of person. The actor is confused, and she mentions the drama's protagonist, named Jin Mi-young. She describes her as a passionate detective who solves any case, no matter how difficult. The scriptwriter then reveals that the character was based on herself, leaving the young man surprised. She explains that she's not referring to the character's righteous side, but her other side. With a confident smile, the woman says the other side is her fighting spirit, as she doesn't run from fights. The young man is shocked, and she says that since the fight has started, they should see it through to the end. The woman continues, saying she wants to confirm what she saw on screen until the end of that story. She wants to be sure of that thing she saw inside him that the screen didn't show properly. Next, the scriptwriter pulls out a script that was tucked in her pink jacket. The woman explains that it is a new draft that not even the director has seen yet. She then hands the script to him and challenges him to convince her with his performance. With a challenging smile, she encourages him to show what he is capable of as an actor. The young man is shocked by the unexpected opportunity but gladly accepts the challenge. Alone in the waiting room, he sits on the couch to read the script he received. The young actor takes a deep breath to calm himself and focus on the new role. With a look full of determination, he tells himself it's time to begin. As he begins to read the pages of the script, his expression changes drastically. He is completely confused and surprised by what is written on the paper. The young man can't believe what his eyes are seeing and is paralyzed with shock. Across town, in the writer's room, an assistant is working hard. A young woman asks another where the scriptwriter went in such a hurry. The assistant explains that she took the manuscript for the first scene of a new character and left. While drinking coffee, the young woman comments that the manuscript isn't ready yet. The other assistant is startled, as she thought the script was already finalized. The young woman defends herself, saying she just said she wanted to finish the script soon. Desperate, she realizes that what was in the printer was just a test page. The two look at each other in panic as they realize the big mistake they unintentionally made. The older one tells the other to call the writer quickly to warn her of the mistake. The assistant tries to call, but the scriptwriter doesn't answer as she must be busy. Worried, the young woman asks where the set is, and if the other one is going there to resolve the situation. The woman yells that if she doesn't go, no one else will fix the mess. The director announces that the camera test will begin soon, so he should get ready. The young man goes to the center of the studio and stands there silently, waiting for instructions. He wonders if he should have asked about the blank script he received. With the manuscript in hand, he doesn't understand why she gave him something with no lines. The young man realizes the script only has a few stage directions, and the rest is blank. He is then called to the set, where the lead actress, the scriptwriter, and the director are waiting for him. The actress stares at him with a serious and curious expression, wanting to see what he'll do next. The director also watches him with an attentive look and a bit of expectation on his face. The young actor realizes that all eyes are focused on him, watching his performance. He feels pressured but knows he needs to show them something in that moment. No matter what the scriptwriter's intention is, the fact is he needs to impress. With confidence, he prepares himself, as he's always been ready for moments like this. One of the camera operators gets ready to start recording the camera test scene. The director then gives the command for the actor to begin his improvised performance. The young man stands in the middle of the white studio, ready to give it his all. He notices that the stage directions are similar to the dream he just had. The scene describes a man in the darkness walking towards some unknown place. The actor remembers the perpetrator's elegant shoe in his dream as he walks. In contrast, he wears simple white sneakers that seem out of place in the scene. The young actor remembers the man's dark suit in his nightmare as he prepares. He then surrenders to an unknown emotion that guides his steps. The young man feels something strange rising from his chest and wonders if it's interest or euphoria. His eyes widen as he realizes that what he's feeling is an instinct. He understands that he lives in a completely different world from the perpetrator in his dreams. The young actor understands that what moves him is simply the instinct to survive. He realizes that this is his struggle to prove his existence to a god who made him different. Standing under a spotlight, he asks in his thoughts if anyone is watching him. The young man continues the question, wondering if someone can finally see him for real. In his mind, he questions if his father is really watching him at that moment. He then thinks that he needs two things to prove his world to everyone. The first is something sharp, and the second is something fragile to show his art. The actor picks up a pen that was on the table and holds it as if it were a weapon. He then approaches the scriptwriter, who is sitting at the table watching him. The young man says she dropped her pen and offers it back to her. The woman is mesmerized by the sharp tip of the pen shining under the light. She swallows hard and wonders if a pen has always been so sharp. The scriptwriter remembers that she dropped the pen while watching his performance. As she watched him, she felt an inexplicable chill run down her spine. She realizes it wasn't just a chill, but a kind of revulsion towards him. The woman questions if that can be called acting, as he simply walked. The woman thinks his performance was unlike anything she had ever known in her life. She then turns to the young man and says she needs to ask something very important. With a curious look, the scriptwriter asks why he acted without using any lines. The young man is confused and explains that there was no dialogue written in the manuscript. The writer and the director are shocked, so the man takes the script from his hands. Suddenly, one of the woman's assistants runs into the studio, calling out for her. The scriptwriter asks what Yoon Mai is doing there, and the young woman hands her a piece of paper. Ju looks at the paper in her hands, not quite understanding what is happening. The assistant explains in a panic that the writer took the wrong manuscript by mistake. The woman takes the sheet and is even more confused by the whole situation. She then looks at the paper in her hands and is completely paralyzed with shock. Her eyes widen as she realizes there were no lines written in that script. The scriptwriter thinks that his performance was done with just a few stage directions. With a look of admiration, she turns to the young man and asks what exactly he is. The young man smiles confidently and replies to the woman that he is just an actor. Back at the evaluation table, the director asks the others what they thought of everything. The man says the performance was raw, but would be very interesting to have in the drama. The lead actress finds the idea a bit risky and says she will leave the decision to them. The scriptwriter and the director are silent for a moment, thinking about what to do now. The woman then reflects that the young man's performance was not a simple imitation of someone. It was a performance where he became someone else and behaved as if he were them. It was a type of high-level acting that only veteran actors could demonstrate. The woman taps the pen on the table while thinking that his performance was very raw. She then asks if it wouldn't be curious to see what he would do with a character and dialogue. The director and the lead actress nod in agreement, as her idea is interesting. With a determined look, the scriptwriter turns to the young man to give her verdict. She says she'll get straight to the point and that she wants Hyun-soo to join the project. The young actor is shocked by the famous writer's sudden proposal. Confused, he asks if the drama's cast hadn't already been finalized. His eyes widen at the chance he had been waiting for, which has finally appeared. The woman replies yes, and that it will be for a very important supporting role. Upon hearing the word supporting, the young man is even more shocked by the proposal. The scriptwriter stares at him with a serious expression before revealing the big role. She then reveals that she wants him to play Lee Jae-woon, the drama's main villain. The young man is shocked to hear the name of the story's antagonist, whom he admired so much. He then remembers that the role of Lee Jae-woon already had an actor cast for the job. The woman ignores his question and challenges him to accept the role or not, once and for all. The young man thinks that he has received an offer to replace an already cast actor. It's an unbelievable situation, but he knows what his answer to the woman will be. With determination, he accepts, and she says she would have forced him to accept even if he had refused. The studio ceiling is shown as the final decision about the young man's role is made. The director smiles and says they will be working together so Hyun-soo can come to the set whenever he wants. The lead actress says she's relieved not to have to see the actor Jang Kung-hoon ever again. The man scolds her for saying useless things, and the young actor is confused by the comment. The young man then hands over his business card and says they will have a lot to discuss from now on. With the card in his hand, he wonders if this is all just a very good dream. Suddenly, his senior grabs him from behind and asks what the heck he did to get that. Kang Jin's everyone is saying he brought a perpetrator to the set and congratulates him. The young actor thanks him, and the senior says too much modesty is quite annoying. The man then says goodbye as he is busy and says they need to have a drink together soon. Later, the young man goes to the dressing room to get his things and finally leave the place. He remembers that he left almost everything at the hospital and needs to go back to get his belongings. Suddenly, the scriptwriter appears at the door, saying she forgot to give him something. The woman hands him the script manuscript and tells him to familiarize himself with the story. She explains that the script has the synopsis and the first scene of his character Lee Jae-woon. The scriptwriter then surprises him by asking if he has ever heard the name Jang Ki-kyun. The young man repeats the name in his mind, as he's sure he has heard it somewhere. He finds it strange because it's the first time he's heard the name, yet he knows it well. The image of the perpetrator from his dreams appears, and he understands they are Jang Ki-kyun's memories. He asks who this man is, and the woman reveals that he was the inspiration for the villain, Lee Ji-woon. The young man repeats the word "inspiration," and the woman says the case is old, so he wouldn't know it. She suggests he research the man, as it would help him a lot in his acting. The scriptwriter admits that the aura of his performance was exactly how she imagined the criminal. Happy to have found her perfect actor, she says now she just needs to focus on writing. The young actor is shocked by the woman's revelation and what she said about him. The writer then leaves, leaving the young man alone in the dressing room with his thoughts. Sometime later, we see the young actor on a train heading home, reflecting on everything. Sitting on the train, he wonders if the dreams were about a real person who inspired the drama. He remembers his senior asking if he really brought a perpetrator to the set. A young woman next to him gives him a strange look as he laughs and says that's impossible. But the young man knows that either way, he needs to understand what is happening to him. He then opens the script he received to start studying his new character. The first page shows the title of the work and the synopsis of the drama's main story. The story is about a detective who finds a diary describing serial incidents. After reading the synopsis, he turns the page to see his character's first scene. The scene describes a man walking through the darkness, and his existence is a mystery. Reading the description, he realizes the scene is very similar to the settings of his dreams. He then takes out his phone and wonders who Jang Ki-chun is, to clear his doubts. The young man is shocked by the search result, as he didn't expect that at all. On his phone screen, the title shadow offender Jang Ki-chun appears, making him tense. He discovers that the perpetrator was the focus of a special investigation in 1992. The criminal's targets were women, and he used a fake name to avoid being discovered. His eyes widen in shock as he discovers the truth behind the character. The investigation reveals that he became Korea's first offender of unknown identity. The article ends by saying that perhaps he is still alive somewhere in the shadows. The young actor is shocked and tense from the information he just read on his phone. He then concludes that the perpetrator took his own life before being caught by the police, and this man of unknown identity is appearing in his dreams to haunt him. In other words, he has been dreaming the dreams of a person who is no longer alive. The train continues its journey as the young man tries to process everything he has discovered. He doesn't know why this is happening, but he is sure of one very important thing. The dreams are having a tremendous impact on his ability to perform as an actor. On second thought, he realizes that synchronizing emotions is the basis of method acting. But he also understands that this phenomenon could be a double-edged sword for him. The perpetrator's emotion intervened in his acting, which is why he performs such an intense scene. If the criminal's emotions continue to interfere, he won't be able to act anymore. With a clenched fist, he decides he needs to control this phenomenon somehow. Otherwise, he will be consumed by the memories and emotions of the perpetrator from his dreams. After that, he rested in the hospital for a day and returned home to recover. There was nothing wrong with his body, but the problem was much deeper than that. Every time he opened his eyes, he struggled to suppress the emotions he felt, like anger and hunger. And on top of that, the young man felt a strong urge to do bad things to people. Fortunately, he managed to push these emotions to the back of his mind and maintain his sanity. But he understands that he needs to use these emotions and experiences at the right moments when acting. He then remembers the scriptwriter mentioning his raw and emotion-filled performance. The young actor knows he needs to find a balance between himself and the perpetrator from his dreams. And the only way to do that is through his own acting in the drama. Through acting, he needs to clearly distinguish the boundary between dream and reality. With determination, he decides he will use acting to control his unsettling dreams. For 2 weeks, he focuses on separating the perpetrator's experiences from his own personality. Then the long-awaited call finally comes and the person apologizes for the delay. The young man continues the conversation on his phone with a serious and attentive expression on his face. On the other end of the line, the person asks if he already has an agency, and the young man is surprised. In an office, a man complains about actors who worry about their image and money. He yells that if they are like that, they should be idols, not real actors. He then remembers the name of the actor that writer Go recommended as a replacement. The man reads the name Kim Hyun-soo and says he has never heard of him before. The scene then changes to a sunny location with many trees and a clear blue sky. Next, the man introduces himself as Ju Chang-sok, the drama's production director. With a serious look, he reveals he has a very specific reason for visiting the set. The production director observes an actor preparing for the shoot on set. The artist being made up smiles confidently for the camera. In a coffee shop, a man is shocked to hear the figure of 50 per episode. Sitting at a table, Hyun-soo, the scriptwriter, and the production director discuss the contract. The man says that 50 per episode is the most he can offer the young actor. The production director analyzes the young man and thinks his appearance is nothing special. To him, the young man is ordinary, but for the villain's role, what really matters is the acting. The scriptwriter interrupts the man and says he hasn't seen anything of what the actor can do yet. She asks if he watched the camera test, and that's why he's offering so little. The man is embarrassed and says he's been busy, so the woman makes him a proposal. She suggests he see the young man's performance on set, as then he will understand everything. The writer challenges him, saying he will realize how foolish his money offer was. Back on set, the production director seems annoyed, and another director calls him lucky. The man is confused and the other says he never misses an interesting spectacle. Without understanding anything, he sees the filming director yell for everyone to get ready for the shoot. The scriptwriter then approaches Sue to give him the final instructions for the scene. She explains that today's scene will be a continuation of the camera test he already did. The young actor nods as he perfectly understands what he needs to do. The setting is simple, a man walking in a dark forest, imagining the first page of the diary. She says she removed the action descriptions because they wouldn't match his acting style. The young man asks if he should use the same tool, and the scriptwriter is confused by the question. He explains that he's referring to the weapon Lee Jae-woon uses for his acts, and she corrects him. A toolbox is open, revealing various items like hammers, pliers, and wrenches. The woman picks up a screwdriver and says this is the villain's weapon and that his father used it. The production director watches from a distance, and Sue asks if there's any problem with the scene. With a confident look, the young actor asks if he can use the other tools in the box. The production director is shocked by the audacity of the rookie actor in making suggestions. The young man says a screwdriver is not a rational tool for what the villain does. He picks up a hammer and explains that people don't go down easily with sharp objects. He continues, saying an experienced perpetrator would choose an impact weapon to be efficient. The writer is surprised by the young actor's detailed and frightening logic. He clarifies that he is just saying what the character Ji-woon would think in that situation. The scriptwriter agrees that his idea makes sense for the scene's realism and decides to allow it. But she warns that the villain's main weapon needs to be the screwdriver for the story. The production director can't believe what he's seeing and wonders if this is normal. The other director gets excited and yells for everyone to prepare for the flashback scene filming. The scene begins with Sue standing near a tree under a late afternoon sky. A narration with the title Hindset Collection says that he feels sorry for the insects. He continues the narration, saying he was walking through the forest when he found an insect. With a hammer in his hand, he narrates that he remembered his homework upon seeing the tool. The actor's white sneaker steps on the dirt as the scene continues to be filmed on set. He continues on his way through the forest with a serious and focused expression on his face. With the hammer in hand, he narrates that he needs to finish his homework no matter what. Suddenly, the young man turns his head as if looking at something behind the camera. The camera operator filming him is completely shocked by the young man's intense performance. The production director also widens his eyes, not believing what he's witnessing. He rubs his eyes and wonders what it is that he is seeing happen in the scene. In his mind, he imagines people running and being chased through the forest, scared. The narration continues, saying he accidentally stepped on the insect with the hammer. The tool then comes down with full force towards its imaginary target on the ground. A drop of sweat runs down the face of the production director, who watches everything in shock. The hammer hits something on the ground, which is represented by a dark spot on the dirt. Crouched on the ground, the narration asks whose fault it was that it happened. He continues, saying that neither the human nor the insect did anything wrong. In fact, the production director's expression fills with dread at the character's words. The actor's hand now holds the screwdriver firmly as he continues the scene. The young man then crouches on the ground to continue his very unsettling performance. With the screwdriver, he starts to move some stones on the ground very carefully. His feet move slowly as he analyzes the small stones on the ground. With his hair covering his face, he says the blame lies with whoever put them there together. He then walks through the forest with a mysterious and deep look on his face. The director yells to cut the scene, and everyone on set is silent, shocked by what they saw. One of the crew members asks if the scene wasn't scary, and the production director agrees. He then wonders if that can be called acting, as it was very realistic. The man concludes that for a moment, the young actor became the villain Lee Ji-woon himself. With an impressed look, he understands why the scriptwriter valued him so much. He then guarantees that Su's career will take off from this project. The filming director says he didn't expect the young man to have such a wild performance. The scriptwriter smiles and asks the production director if he doesn't regret his offer. With a smile, the man asks the woman where she found a talent like that. She replies that she didn't find him, and that in fact, the opposite happened. With a mysterious smile, she says the young man invaded their world on his own. Later, the film crew goes to a restaurant to celebrate the day's good work. Pieces of meat are placed on the grill to be cooked as they talk. The filming director offers the young actor a drink to celebrate the occasion. Sitting at the table, they ask how his first time filming on a real set was. The young man replies that everything was a first for him on that special day. With a sincere smile, he thanks everyone for the opportunity they gave him. The filming director says he acted scarily but now looks like a flower. He jokes that the young man looks like someone who would explode if touched, and everyone laughs. He praises the young man's work and says they should continue like this from now on. The restaurant is full of people having fun and eating together that night. The production director approaches Sue to talk about an important matter. He apologizes for offering little money, and the young man says he understands the situation. The man then starts talking about the contract discussion they haven't finished yet. He gets nervous and doesn't know how to approach the subject of payment with the young actor. With a shout, he asks the young man to be honest and say how much he wants to be paid. The young actor is surprised by the production director's sudden question. Days later, an article is published stating that the actor for the villain Lee Jae-woon has been replaced. The young man is in his room and sits in his chair to rest for a bit. With a sigh, he relaxes and reflects on the recent events in his life. He looks at his hand and realizes his control over his emotions is improving, but he knows his control is still unstable and needs to be improved over time. He remembers saying that impact weapons are more rational for what the villain does, and he is sure it wasn't him who said those scary and logical words. With a serious look, he reflects that not everything is negative in his situation. He managed to use the perpetrator's emotions to act as the character Lee Jae-woon. During the performance, he felt as if the scenery around him was the same as in his dreams, but he knows this phenomenon is a double-edged sword and can be dangerous. He understands that his acting style only works in solo scenes for now. In scenes with other actors, his strength could become a poison and mess everything up. With determination, he knows he needs to be able to control this monster inside him. The young actor's solo scenes end, and the filming director yells to cut the scene. The director says the solo scenes are finished and that now he will work with other actors. He remembers it's Han Su's first time with other artists besides the lead actress. Therefore, he suggests an intermediate script reading so everyone can get to know each other. The young actor is surprised by the suggestion, as he didn't expect something so special. The words script reading echo in his mind as he processes the information. The drama script reading had already happened a month ago, so the suggestion is unusual. The young man is worried about gathering everyone because of him, but the director calms him down. He explains that only actors Jang Do-seok and Joo-in-ah will participate in the reading. Upon hearing the name Jang Do-seok, the young actor is completely shocked and speechless. Anyone who watches dramas knows the name of the famous supporting actor. Enthusiastically, he says he would love to participate, as he admires the work of veteran actors. The director then takes out his phone to contact the other actors for the scene. He informs him that actor Do-seok wants to meet him tomorrow, and the other will also be free. The young actor is anxious and nervous about the sudden news of the meeting. The next day, he and the director wait in a coffee shop for the other actors to arrive. The young man is visibly nervous about the situation and can't hide his anxiety. His heart pounds in his chest as he waits for the moment of the meeting. Suddenly, a voice asks if this is the interesting guy who joined the cast. The young actor bows respectfully and introduces himself to the veteran, who analyzes him. The man comments that even the producer gave a nod of approval, which is very rare. The director jokes that the veteran is still angry about the reshoots. The actor asks about the lead actress, and the director informs them she can't make it today. With the script in hand, the veteran says he'll see how the rookie does in the reading. The director suggests they talk a bit before starting, but the other refuses. The man says actors greet each other with acting and points to the young man. With his hair covering his face, the young actor is already completely immersed in the character. He then looks up with a cold and frightening expression that surprises everyone. The veteran says it's not time for coffee, as his rookie is more than ready. The young man's eyes fill with a cold and calculating intensity for the scene. We are introduced to Jang Man-ho, the veteran's character who confronts Lee Jae-woon. He is an important character who becomes a great ally to the protagonist in the end. They then decide to start the reading with the scene of the characters' first meeting. The scene takes place at the entrance of the police station, where Jang Man-ho blocks Jae-woon's path. The veteran then begins to read his first line with a serious and suspicious tone. He continues the line saying Jae-woon shouldn't turn himself into the police. The young actor stares at him in silence with an unreadable expression on his face. His foot then starts tapping on the floor impatiently at the man's provocation. The young man thinks that even though it's just a reading, the scene is so intense that he stops unintentionally. The veteran's hand rests on the script as the tension in the room only grows. Suddenly, the rookie closes his script, and the veteran is shocked by his audacity. The older actor gets annoyed and wonders if the young man really doesn't need the script. With a challenging smile, he decides he will accept the rookie's challenge. He then places his hand over his own script, ready to join the game. The veteran stares at the young actor, having decided he will play his game to the end. The two scripts for episode 3 lie on the table as the reading intensifies. The veteran actor then accuses the young man's character of having finished off 3 young women. Unfazed, the young actor asks what's the big deal if he really did it. The veteran is shocked, as the young man's response was not in the original script. With a cold look, the rookie says the other character already knew everything anyway. The older man gets irritated with the rookie's audacity and calls him a sassy rookie. The veteran questions him, so the villain says he will catch him and finish him. With a provocative smile, the young actor asks how the other intends to do that. The man gets angry and says he will finish off a young woman named Yoo-jong to get revenge. The veteran is confused by the line, as he doesn't remember reading that in the script. The young man then reveals personal information about the veteran's character's daughter. The experienced actor's expression fills with dread and anger at the revelation. With a clenched fist, he threatens the young man if he ever touches his real daughter. With a confident smile, the young man proposes a bet instead of a pointless fight. He suggests a bet on who finishes the other first but says it's not necessary. With a look of pure evil, he says that even if they bet, he has already won the contest. The veteran actor is shocked and speechless at the rookie's confidence and arrogance. His eyes widen with anger and surprise at the young actor's provocation. With a roar of fury, he lunges at the young man, ready for a real fight. The sound of a table being flipped over echoes through the coffee shop as the tension rises. The veteran grabs the young man by the shirt collar, and the director tries to separate them, frightened. He yells for his friend to calm down, as it is just a script reading. The older man then realizes he got carried away by the emotions of the scene. He can't believe he got so involved with the performance of a rookie and inexperienced actor. He then turns to the director and says he needs to speak with him privately. The veteran asks to redo the scene they filmed the previous day with the young actor. The director is shocked and doesn't understand why they would need to redo a finished scene. The experienced actor yells that he can't let a rookie devour him on screen like that. The scene then changes to the top of a building with flags fluttering in the strong wind. The director tries to argue, saying the scene was good and doesn't need to be redone. But the veteran insists the scene isn't good enough and that they need one more take. The man doesn't understand why there's so much effort for a scene that isn't that important. The lead actress observes the discussion and notices the atmosphere on set is very different. She observes 3 actors talking in front of a police station on the set. The men seem to be discussing something important before filming the scene. One of them says that the rookie who replaced actor Kang Hoon is that young man reading the script. Another actor thinks his appearance is ordinary and that he doesn't fit the character Lee Jae-woon. He also comments that he heard the recommendation for the role came from the producer himself. The lead actress approaches and questions them if bringing complaints to the set is professional. The actors are shocked and embarrassed by the sudden arrival of the drama's star. With a wink, she scolds them for questioning the producer's and scriptwriter's decision. The men apologize, and she says they should be true to their roles as police officers. She reminds them that they are there to watch the new actor's performance, not to gossip. With a smile, she wonders what kind of performance the rookie will show them today. The scene of the characters' first meeting is prepared with 2 cameras filming everything. The veteran actor says that today the scene will be very different from the previous day's reading. The young actor replies that he learned a lot and asks the veteran to take good care of him. The director then yells for everyone to get ready for the scene's filming at the police station. The veteran begins his line with the same intensity as the reading but with more emotion. The young man smiles and repeats the line about finishing off the other actor's character's daughter. He then says the bet isn't necessary because he has already won the contest between them. With a roar of fury, the veteran lunges at the young actor and grabs him by the collar. The director yells, "Okay," indicating the scene was perfect and that the filming is finished. The other actors are shocked and wonder who it was that called the rookie a hired hand. The lead actress is impressed by the young man's sophisticated and intense performance. She can't believe he managed to absorb the character so well in just a few days. With a worried look, she thinks that if she's not careful, she could be in danger too. The young man turns to the veteran and asks how his performance was in the scene they just did. The experienced actor says it felt like he was facing a different person in just one day. The veteran questions if he is the type of actor who gets carried away by instinct when acting. The young actor agrees that the expression instinctive flow could be very accurate for him. The older man then sits down to give him some important advice about acting. He explains that a good actor knows how to surrender to the flow without being carried away by it. The young man is shocked by the words solo performance and what they mean in acting. The veteran says he will understand better when he works with other actors on screen. With a serious look, the man reveals that the biggest problem is not on his side. He points to the parking lot where several black vans are parked, waiting. The experienced actor says he is worried about the other actors who will be carried away by him. Suddenly, the director yells to cut the scene and asks the lead actress to redo it. The man yells that something seems wrong and that the scene needs to be redone once more. The command to cut and redo the scene echoes across the film set several times. The director approaches the lead actress and asks if she is okay to continue. And with that, today's chapter comes to an end. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. The lead actress looks shocked and worried by the intensity of the scene she just witnessed. Her eyes widen in pure amazement at the performance of the 2 actors in front of her. Suddenly, the veteran actor yells the young man's character's name with all his might. The young actor is on the ground while the other asks if that is enough. The lead actress then enters the scene to confront the veteran's character. With a cold look, she questions him for touching a detective in front of the police station. The veteran is shocked and wonders if the young man's character is a real detective. Sitting on the ground, the young actor says the other wasn't going to turn himself into the police. With a disdainful look, he wonders if the woman who just arrived is a police officer. The veteran is furious upon realizing he was tricked by the young man and his character. The lead actress then cuffs him and says he is being arrested red-handed. With a provocative smile, she asks if the veteran is okay and if it's not time to retire. The young man's character comments that with the economy down, it's good to have fewer mouths to feed. The veteran is left with an expression of pure anger and frustration at the young man's comment. The director yells to cut the scene, and the two actors get up from the ground to rest. The young man thinks the veteran's performance was incredible and that he learned a lot from him. The experienced actor then turns to him and asks how he thinks his own performance was. The veteran is surprised when the young man says it wasn't bad and questions him about his standards. With a serious look, the young man admits he still has a lot to improve and can do better. The older actor smiles and says it's not time to worry about him, but about the others. He looks at the lead actress, who seems thoughtful and a little worried about something. The veteran says he thought she might be devoured by the young man's performance if she wasn't careful. He concludes that the actress is not blending well in the scene and is standing out negatively. The young actor asks if it's his fault, and the veteran says it might be, or it might not. He explains that either way, it's a problem the actress herself needs to solve. The young man remembers the veteran saying he was worried about the other actors. And now, after seeing the lead actress's performance, he finally understands what he meant. His instinctive acting doesn't harmonize with the other actors, and it disrupts the scene. He wonders if that can be called good acting, as it is harming the others. The veteran says he knows what he's thinking but advises him not to go too far. The young man agrees, and the filming continues despite the lead actress's poor condition. They then reach the part of the story where the protagonist suspects Lee Jae-woon. The lead actress is in shock as she holds her phone with an expression of fear. In a flashback scene, a young actor smiles and asks if she is okay and safe. The woman then remembers the young man's face and wonders who he really is. The scene is then cut, and the film crew prepares for the next shoot. The other actors praise the actress, saying she is amazing and that their legs felt weak. With a serious and worried look, the lead actress continues to reflect on her performance. And with that, today's chapter comes to an end. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like for more videos like this. After the shoot, the young man approaches the lead actress and asks how his performance was. With a thoughtful look, he says he understood what the problem was in the scene they just filmed. He explains that the problem wasn't her acting but something much deeper. The young man says that every time he sees her act, he feels like he's hitting a wall. With his hand outstretched, he suggests that her character knew everything from the beginning. He then reveals that he can see her character being consumed by darkness. The woman is shocked by the young man's perception of her character and her performance. The basic narrative of the drama is a tragedy where the protagonist gets lost in the darkness. Perhaps a part of her always knew the villain was a human with incomplete aspects, but she continued to deny her suspicions until she was confronted by another character's darkness. Denial leads to despair, and that was the true nature of the actress's helplessness. She was so immersed in the world of the drama that she didn't realize she was losing herself. Falling into the world of the work without even noticing is the talent of a natural genius for acting. The young man says her instability made him feel like he was seeing the real character. The actress then reflects that maybe acting can't be perfect from the start. With a smile, she realizes she was doing the right thing all along in her performance. She then thanks the young man and asks if he really thought her performance was incredible. The veteran actor watches the two and thinks that something interesting has finally arrived on set. In a dark warehouse, the woman points a weapon at the villain with a determined look. With his hair covering his eyes, the young man says the word that defines the scene, "Hein it." He continues, saying that if she doesn't stop him, she will end up getting hurt herself. The woman then wonders why his words sound like he's asking for help. With the weapon pointed, she demands that he answer if he still has an ounce of heart. The young man's eyes fill with a strange emotion as he stares at her in silence. Suddenly, he moves forward, and the weapon fires, hitting the young actor square in the chest. The young man falls to the ground as the woman holds him in her arms, shocked by what she has done. With tears in her eyes, she asks why he did that and what she was to him. With his last strength, he says that from the first day, he felt something special for her. The actress is shocked by the young man's confession and doesn't know how to react. The tears continue to stream down her face as she hugs him tightly. The young actor then passes away in the protagonist's arms in a scene full of emotion. The director yells to cut the scene, and the two actors separate to rest for a bit. With a smile, the actress says the villain he played made her suffer a lot. The young man then asks if the character felt an ounce of love for the protagonist. In his thoughts, he answers no, because there was no salvation for the villain. The director praises both actors, saying they were perfect in the scene they just filmed. The man thanks the young man and says the filming will end earlier thanks to him. The young actor thanks the director and says he learned a lot from him every day. The man laughs and says his problem is being too modest and mentions the drama's trailer. And with that, today's chapter comes to an end. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. The director reveals that Lee Jae-woon's first appearance will be used in the drama's trailer. The young man is shocked to learn that his solo scene will be used as the highlight of the trailer. The lead actress agrees with the decision and says she doesn't care about her feelings. She encourages him to be proud as his scene perfectly represents the drama's identity. A week later, the official trailer for the drama, When You Are Consumed by Darkness, is released. The public's reaction is immediate, and the comments praise the rookie actor's presence. The trailer reaches 300,000 views in 1 week, which is an incredible number. With the trailer's success, the unknown actor Kim Hyun-soo becomes known throughout Korea. In front of a building, a voice yells that the great actor has finally arrived for the visit. The young man is confused by the warm welcome and doesn't understand what is happening. Upon entering the house, he finds his mother in the kitchen preparing a meal for him. Hyun-soo's mother greets him with a warm and happy smile on her welcoming face. His younger sister, Kim Yoo-mai, greets him with a playful and fun expression. She scolds him for buying gifts but is happy with the life of a famous actor's sister. The young man says he isn't famous yet, and she accuses him of being too modest about his success. He then ruffles her hair, and she thanks him for the meal with a smile. His sister is surprised by the amount of food and asks if they don't feed him on set. He replies that they do, but the food doesn't compare to his mother's at home. Suddenly, their mother remembers that it's almost time for the drama to start on television. The family sits in the living room to watch the drama's premiere, and his sister can hardly believe it. With a confident smile, he says that even if she can't believe it, he really will appear. The drama then begins with the protagonist running down a dark and dangerous street. The minutes pass slowly as the family watches the first episode of the drama. Suddenly, the young man's sister puts her hand to her mouth, shocked by what she's seeing. With wide eyes, she yells that the drama is very interesting and exciting. She then asks why her brother hasn't appeared yet, and he explains it's only in episode 3. The young woman gets angry and tells him to come back next week so she can get more gifts. She corrects herself and says it would be nice if they all gathered when he's on TV. With a smile, the young man calls for his mother to tell her something very important. He then says with pride that he has finally become a real actor for her. His mother is shocked and emotional at the news, as she always believed in her son. She says he has always been an actor to her, and that his father thought the same way. His sister comments that if their father saw him now, he would be very happy with his success. The young man smiles emotionally at his family's words and the support he has always received. He then asks about the allowance, and his mother says he already sent it last week. With a smile, she encourages him to work hard and become an even better actor in the future. Suddenly his phone rings, and he sees it's a call from producer Yoo Jong-suk. The director and the scriptwriter greet him and ask what he is doing so late. He replies that he was watching the drama with his family, and that the work turned out incredible. The man then asks if he has seen the ratings for the first episode and prepares him for the news. He reveals that the drama reached an impressive 11.8% rating. The news is a real success, as a start with double digits is a great achievement. And this is all before an even better actor appears in the drama for the audience. The young man realizes he has joined a good drama and that this could change his career forever. Days later, he goes to a bar to meet some friends and celebrate the success. Upon arrival, he waves to a young woman who is anxiously waiting for him at the meeting spot. His senior greets him enthusiastically and announces the arrival of the famous actor Kim Hyun-soo. His friends congratulate him and say he will be very busy from now on. With a satisfied smile, the young actor agrees and joins the celebration with them. Sebated out with his fist raised, he promises to pay for all the rounds of drinks that night. The bar's wall is decorated with photos of delicious dishes like chicken and steak. They toast with mugs of beer, and a friend congratulates him on the drama's success. The senior then asks what his next project will be, but the young man doesn't know yet. His friend questions him about it, and he says it's still too early to think about new jobs. The senior explains that the public's reaction is already significant, and that the success will only grow. With a sharp intuition, he tells the young man to prepare because his phone is going to blow up. Suddenly, the young man's phone on the table starts vibrating non-stop. The device continues to ring and vibrate with countless calls and messages coming in. The young actor asks if the senior has some divine power, and he urges him to answer. With the phone in his hand, he looks at the screen, shocked by the number of calls. He then sees that the call is from actress in and wonders why she is calling. One of his friends is shocked to learn he already has a relationship with actresses. The young woman jokes and tells everyone to be quiet because he's talking to the famous Juan. Shyly, the young man answers the phone, and the actress asks where he is at that moment. He replies that he's in Daehangno, and she says her agency is also around there. The woman realizes he is with friends and remembers that one of them is the assistant director. With an unexpected request, she asks if she can join them for a while. The bar's neon sign glows as the young actor and his friends wait for their guest. Actress Juana arrives at the bar and introduces herself to everyone with a friendly smile. She says she's there to promote the drama, and the young man is a bit embarrassed by the excuse. With a curious look, he thinks about the real reason for her visit to the bar. With a mischievous smile, the actress seems to be enjoying the whole situation. His friends say goodbye excitedly and ask to meet her again in the future. With a smile, she says yes because she and Hyun-soo are very close now. The young man watches his friends and the actress saying goodbye with a satisfied smile on his face. He thanks her for the visit, and she invites him for a walk to talk. As they walk, the woman says she had fun and that it felt like her college days. She explains that she grew distant from everyone because of acting in a busy life. The actress then teases him, asking if he is still acting well and being excluded. The young man is silent, and she invites him to go with her to a special place. She says he can visit the place whenever he wants, and he remains silent. The young man calls her senior, and she stares at him with a mysterious and enigmatic look. With a mischievous smile, the actress watches him intently without saying a word. Suddenly, she starts to laugh and says she was just kidding with him the whole time. The woman asks how her acting was, and he says it wasn't funny and that he helped her. The actress's black sneaker steps on the sidewalk as they continue their nightly walk. With a serious look, she says she will speak directly to him about an important matter. The woman reveals that she wants to work together with him on future projects as partners. The young man is shocked and speechless at the famous actress's unexpected proposal. She then extends her hand and says she is referring to a professional partnership between the two. The woman points to a building and invites him to see her talent agency. The agency building is large and modern, with several illuminated windows in the dark night. He asks if actors usually recruit other actors, and she says it's not common. She explains that the agency's CEO asked her to build a bridge with him. The young man is confused because the CEO has never seen his acting, and she quickly corrects him. The woman reveals that the CEO was present on the day of the camera test and visited the set. She then invites him to meet with the agency's CEO for a talk. In a coffee shop, the young man waits anxiously for the meeting with the important person. He greets the woman who arrives at the location with a serious and professional expression. We are introduced to Peer Orium CL Woo Ji-yoon. The young man comments that she looks younger than he imagined for someone in her 40s. With a smile, she reads his thoughts and asks if he confused her with a road manager. The woman explains that before opening the company, she also started as a road manager. The young actor is embarrassed and thinks she must be a ghost for reading his mind. She apologizes for the delay, and the young man says it's no problem as he lives nearby. The CEO then hands him her business card so he can contact her. The card reveals her company's name, Peer Orium Entertainment, and her contact information. The agency is relatively new but already has a solid roster of promising young actors. She explains that the company grew alongside rookie actors and has a lot of experience. The young man stares at her with an attentive look as he listens to the famous CEO's proposal. He then questions why she took so long to contact him if she had known him for half a year. With a serene smile, the woman says she didn't want to interfere with his acting in the drama. She then warns him that many industry professionals will approach him in the future. The CEO admits that he can succeed anywhere, even without her help. The young actor listens to her attentively and with a bit of nervousness about the proposal. She then says she can't offer the best conditions but makes a promise. The woman promises that he will always have the freedom to do the acting he wants. The young man is shocked and touched by the CEO's promise, as it's everything he has ever dreamed of. She says she doesn't need an immediate answer and that the meeting is just to show her vision. He replies that he will think about it and will contact her soon. That weekend, episodes 3 and 4 of the drama finally aired. The audience reacted immediately to the villain's appearance with comments of admiration and fear. The reaction on the internet and in the media was explosive, with articles praising the actor's switch. Entertainment industry professionals began to notice Han Su's talent. They realized his potential with just a few scenes and the positive public reaction. As the CEO predicted, several management companies began to contact him non-stop. The offers were varied, from companies with solid scripts and their own productions, to experienced companies with a great reputation in the Korean entertainment market. And finally, the powerful company Impact, which offered incredible benefits to the young actor. In his room, the young man prepares to make one of the most important decisions of his life. With his phone in hand, he reflects on the proposals and the realistic aspects of each one. He remembers his journey so far and the people who helped him get where he is. The CEO's promise of always being able to do the acting he wanted echoes in his mind. With a determined look, he knows what his answer to the proposal he received will be. He then picks up his phone and calls the CEO of Peer Orium Agency to give his answer. The young man says he will sign the contract with her company, and the woman is very happy. With a smile, she says he won't regret joining the Peer Orium family. The next day, the young actor goes to the agency to sign his first contract. The terms are a 3-year contract with a 70% profit share for him. He is surprised as the conditions are better than he imagined for a rookie. He thinks about the vehicle support and the manager he will finally have in his career. The young man says it still doesn't feel real, and that he doesn't know when it will all happen. With a smile, the CEO looks with a confident and expectant gaze. Her hand moves across the table as she prepares to give him some news. She then reveals that this when might come sooner than he imagines. The young actor is shocked and surprised by the woman's statement. On the office shelf, several awards and certificates are on display. The woman then hands him a script with the letter B written on the light blue cover. She explains that she has selected a few scripts that fit his conditions. The CEO admits that his acting is not yet well known among professionals, and that the best way to get the next project is through auditions. She encourages him to gain experience instead of waiting for casting offers. The woman then hands him the first script, which is for a romantic comedy. He is surprised and says he has never acted in a romance before in his career. She corrects him, saying he will be the supporting villain, and he gets excited at the news. The CEO explains it's a stable choice because the viewership is guaranteed and the writer is good. Also, going with a character similar to what he has already done is not a bad idea. The second option she presents is a complete opposite of the first. The young man is shocked to see the names of the producers and cast for the second project. And with that, today's chapter comes to an end. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. The script is by Yoo Hee-soo, a master of the drama industry who debuted in '96. She is known for writing human dramas with social messages that touch the public's hearts. The scriptwriter has a fixed group of actors and usually decides the cast in advance. The CEO says they were lucky to get an audition because the writer likes their actors. The drama's synopsis is about people with losses who meet and heal together. The young man realizes the drama's atmosphere is completely different from what he has done before. He is confused because he doesn't know what role he would play, and the CEO explains the writer is unpredictable. She is famous for revising scripts during filming based on the actors' performances. The CEO admits the script is just the first draft and that his role is not yet defined. But she encourages him to accept the challenge, as he could become a serious actor with this role. The young actor is thoughtful about the proposal and the weight of the decision he needs to make. The woman says there's no hurry, as the greater the success of his current drama, the more value he will have. He thanks her, and she promises the company will fully support him in his choice. The scene then changes to a ship sinking in the sea as a rescue boat approaches. Two fishing boats navigate the turbulent waters on a rescue mission. A man caws desperately while another tries to revive him with chest compressions. With a determined look, one of the men says he needs to save one more person. A young woman calls him up and asks why he is heading towards danger. Crying, she begs him to come back, as the rescue team is already on its way. With tears in her eyes, the young woman continues to call his name without stopping her crying. With a choked voice, the young woman begs him to stay by her side and not leave her alone. The scene then changes and we see the two on a breakwater with a beautiful sunset in the background. He says if it's one more person he can love, but she cries and says no way. The man tries to calm her, saying he grew up on an island and that there is no danger for him. Ignoring her plea, he pushes her away and jumps into the water to help with the victim's rescue. The young man then introduces himself as Sergeant Lee Jun-hyuk of the Maritime Rescue Service. With a determined look, he promises he will help rescue the other passengers. Suddenly, Hyun-soo wakes up with a start, panting because of the nightmare he just had. He sits up quickly in bed with his heart racing and completely shocked. Staring into space, the young actor tries to process the vivid dream that scared him. With his hand on his head, the young man wonders if he is still alive after that experience. He then realizes the content of his dreams has completely changed overnight. The next day, the young man is sitting on his bed, reading one of the scripts he received from the CEO. He thinks he had a new dream as soon as he heard about the new project offered to him. With a shocked look, the young man starts to worry about the strange situation he is living in. He concludes this is a big problem, as acting normally will be impossible now. The actor then decides he needs a job that will help him deal with these new emotions. To begin, he decides to research the dream to understand what is happening. He looks for ship accidents and shipwrecks, as such a disaster would leave traces. His eyes suddenly widen as he finally finds what he was looking for. The document on the screen reveals the 1993 accident with a passenger ship. Shocked, he reads that out of 372 people, only 71 were rescued. His hand then moves slowly to click with the mouse and continue the detailed search. Suddenly, the young man's hand starts to tremble as he grips the mouse tightly. With his face sweating coldly, the actor seems very disturbed by the information he found. Overcome by the dream's emotion, he whispers that he should have saved at least one more person. The young man's eyes fill with a guilt that is not as bad as he relives that nightmare. With his hand on his head, he realizes this could be a more dangerous situation than he thought. The young man becomes tense and worried, as the emotions from the dreams are affecting his real life. Suddenly, his phone on the table starts to ring, drawing his attention to the device. The young actor then turns to see who is calling him at that important moment. In a room, the CEO asks why he is asking her to find a script out of the blue. In his room, the young man says he knows the request is absurd, but it's very important to him. The woman asks if she can know the reason, and the young actor seems to hesitate in answering her. He then makes up an excuse and says he heard about a script about that accident. With a forced smile, he says he got greedy because he heard the script was very good. The woman understands the situation and asks if, in the end, it's all about greed for scripts. She jokes that he should have been direct from the beginning instead of beating around the bush. With a serious look, she questions if he wants to test her skills as the agency's CEO. She then accepts the challenge and promises she will take responsibility and find the script. The woman asks what he said earlier, and he confirms he mentioned the ship accident. She says that before they proceed with the projects, he needs to do something first, and the young man asks what it is. With a smile, the woman then asks what his schedule is for the next day. Suddenly, a man congratulates him for surpassing 20% viewership in the drama. In the car, the young man thanks him and asks since when he became hung, and the man says he noticed he's older. Smiling, the young man asks him to take good care of him, and the manager says he didn't hear about the 20%. A month after the premiere, the drama's viewership only increased and reached 20.2%. The The success came from the actors' performances, the script, and the popularity of the villain Lee Ji-woon. The manager says that with the success, a special interview with the actors has been scheduled soon. In the car's mirror, the young actor says he received the script but that it won't be much help. The young man thinks this is a big problem, and the manager tells him not to be nervous as it's not live. The scene then changes to the TV station building where the interview will take place soon. Already dressed for the interview, the young actor enters a waiting room to wait. Suddenly, a voice calls him Senior Ji-woon, and the young man turns to see who it is. The woman who called him is the drama's lead actress, who looks at him with a smile on her face. In an elegant dress, the young woman shines as she observes him with a confident expression. Shyly, the young man greets her, stuttering a bit due to the unexpected encounter. She questions if he forgot they agreed to speak casually with each other. The young man then says it was because she looked so beautiful, and the actress is shocked and embarrassed. With a smile, she asks if her makeup was too exaggerated, and the young man remains silent. Joking, the young woman says she doesn't know what's wrong, and that she is a professional actress. The young man agrees, and she questions him about what he thought of her before that revelation. Suddenly, a hand grabs the young man by the collar, startling him with the unexpected touch. Behind him, the veteran actor stares at him with a strange smile on his intimidating face. The man invites him for a drink and asks why he hasn't had time for friends lately. With a smile, he pats the young man's head and says he deserves to be boozy. The veteran says he's happy to see the lead actor, but is happier to see the rookie. The young woman explains that the veteran has been having a lot of fun thanks to him, and the young man is confused. She reveals that acting videos of the villain are trending, and that's why the veteran also became famous. Suddenly, a voice announces that the actors need get ready as the recording is about to start. The young man thinks he was very nervous, but now he doesn't feel that way anymore. With so many interesting things, he wonders which story he should start telling. The veteran says they should finish up quickly so they can go have a beer after work. The woman then calls him to go together, and the veteran also hurries him so he won't be late. With a smile, he agrees to lead the way to the interview recording studio. Then the young actor starts walking towards the recording location with confidence and determination. Already seated in the studio, the interview finally begins with the three main actors of the drama. The veteran talks about the first script reading he had with the young actor at the beginning. The lead actress agrees, saying that at first she had concerns, but the trailer changed everything. The interviewer thinks that, as expected, the veterans are not easy to handle in the interview. The interviewer then asks the young man if he feels the extraordinary popularity he has gained. The young man says he doesn't know, because he usually stays home reading scripts for his new jobs. The manager makes desperate signs for him not to reveal anything about upcoming projects. With his hands in an X shape, the man tries to prevent the actor from revealing confidential information. The young man thinks about the next project, and the interviewer gets excited about the possibility. With a smile, he says he hopes his next job will be the second season of the drama. The interviewer is shocked, and the young man explains he liked it so much he would like to return. With a smile, the man thinks the answer was good, and that he finally has something to use. Then the interviewer asks the three what the darkness in the title means to them. The lead actress says the job taught her about the importance of chemistry with colleagues. The veteran says the drama made him realize that the world of acting has no end to learning. As for the young actor, he says the work was the first to extend a hand to him in a difficult time. With an emotional look, he says the drama was a true ray of light in his life. The next day, the young man goes to a restaurant to meet the CEO and the agency manager. The man says the interview was a success and that the young man was very professional the whole time. The CEO congratulates him and says that from now on, they will minimize external activities. She then reveals that she called him to discuss the progress of his next project. The young man is worried and asks if a problem has arisen with the drama's production. The woman explains that it's not exactly a problem and that the lead actress's casting has been confirmed. Surprised, the young actor asks who his co-star will be in the new project he will do. The woman then asks if by any chance the actor has, and he is confused by the question. With a serious look, she questions if he has ever heard of the group, Gordian Girls. The young man repeats the group's name, as he has never heard of them in his life. The woman then says that, as expected, actor Kim probably doesn't know them. She explains that it's natural because the idol group wasn't very famous at the time. The CEO reveals that it was a group that failed and was completely forgotten over time. Their second album also failed, and the small entertainment company went bankrupt. She says they are so shameful they can't even be called has-beens. The woman then defines them as a nameless and completely unknown idol group. She says the problem is not casting a failed ex-idol, but something else. Suddenly, the young actor interrupts her, saying he already knows everything about them. He asks if there is anyone in Korea who doesn't know the famous group, Gordian Girls. The young man then recites a song lyric, leaving the woman even more confused by everything. Shocked by his attitude, she asks if he is not yet fully sober. He explains that it's the lyrics from a song on their first album, a masterpiece. The woman remains completely lost, not understanding the situation and the young man's words. The manager then cries and says they were the angels of his long military service. The CEO and the young actor are shocked by the man's unexpected reaction at the table. With her hand to her mouth, the woman thinks her actor had this side she didn't know about. The young man then calls the woman's name with a very serious expression on his face. The young man then asks if the actress he will be co-starring with is from the group they talked about. The woman confirms that Seori, the group's former vocalist, has been confirmed for the main role. She then informs him that the script reading will be scheduled soon so everyone can meet. The scene then changes to the film's production company building, where the reading will take place. The young actor is already seated in the meeting room, waiting for the others to arrive. Suddenly, a voice greets him for arriving early for the script reading. The man jokes that the lead actor is always the first to arrive at events. The young man bows to the director, and the man tells him not to worry about formalities. The director is surprised to see the young man's notes and calls him the researcher type. He then offers a new script and says he should be thankful to have him in the movie. Suddenly, the man is surprised by the arrival of an unexpected person at the location. The director greets a professor and questions her for coming alone to the meeting. The young actor introduces himself to the lady with a shout, and she scolds him for the loudness of his voice. The woman introduces herself as Seo Yeok and compliments him for being cooler in person. We are informed that she is a renowned and respected actress in the theater world. Another actor arrives for the reading and greets the director with a smile on his face. He is surprised to see that the professor is already present for the script reading. Next, the protagonist arrives and apologizes for being late, as she thought she had arrived early. The rest of the supporting cast also arrives for the reading and joins the others in the room. With everyone present in the meeting room, the film's script reading finally begins. One of the actors in the room calls Hyun, Su's name, to get his attention. One of the actresses says she is a fan of his drama and asks if he can give an autograph later. Excited, the other cast members also raise their hands and ask for his autograph. Suddenly, a girl runs into the room, apologizing for being very late. While yelling an apology, she trips and falls flat on her face on the room's floor. The young woman is sprawled on the floor with several sheets of paper flying around her. With an expression of pain, she complains quietly as she tries to get up from the fall. Suddenly, she winks at the protagonist with a sparkle in her eyes and a smile on her face. Kneeling on the floor, she introduces herself as Jeonai, Siu, and asks them to take good care of her. Seeing the scene, the protagonist extends a hand to help the girl get up. Worried about the young woman's fall, he asks if she got hurt in the process. The blue-haired young woman remains on the floor as he stares at her, still concerned. The camera then focuses on the script that is open on top of the large meeting table. The first scene describes the character Yu Seal walking on a beach with light steps. Now on her feet, the actress apologizes once more and promises to be the first to arrive for filming. The older actress observes the newcomer with a look of someone analyzing the whole situation. The lady thinks the director wouldn't choose just anyone and that she is the protagonist. She then looks at the protagonist and thinks he will have a hard time with the newcomer. The young man has a serious expression as he observes his new castmate. The veteran smiles as she thinks watching a wild animal like him will be very fun. The veteran actress introduces herself as Seo Yeok and says she is excited to work with everyone. Next, the other actors introduce themselves one by one and reveal their roles in the movie. The protagonist then introduces himself as Kim Hyun Soo and promises he will do his best. To conclude, director Mang Jong-ho introduces himself and asks for everyone's cooperation on set. With the script in hand, he announces they will start by going over the stage directions. The first scene of the movie shows the protagonist Yu Seal playing on the beach with her friends. The actress then begins to read her first line with great excitement in her loud voice. Hearing the young woman's line, the young man thinks her acting is not bad for a newcomer. He realizes her acting matches the character and that an ordinary performance wouldn't work. The veteran actress then reads her line, asking why they went to the sea in winter. Another actress reads her line, saying the place is much better than in the pictures they saw. The protagonist then comments that the place is still beautiful and that nothing has changed over time. The young actor observes the young woman with an attentive look as she continues the script reading. Suddenly, he gets into character and prepares to read Joan, whose first line. His line questions why he appeared again beside the story's protagonist. The character wonders if it's guilt or just the desire to see her one more time. The script describes the dream where a man dives into the freezing sea and never returns. The character made of ice wonders if he too can feel the cold and if he can warm her. He concludes that he doesn't know the answer but that he can't stand to see her suffering like that. The scene shows the two characters facing each other in a dark and tense place. In the darkness, the character's hand reaches out to try and touch the young woman in front of him. With a cold expression, the ice character continues his line full of restrained emotion. The young man then calls the young woman's name, and his voice echoes through the meeting room. All the actors in the room are shocked by the intensity of the young man's performance. The protagonist is paralyzed with shock, her hair flying with the emotion. Her eyes widen in pure astonishment as a drop of sweat runs down her face. The director calls her name and asks why she isn't saying her line as it is her turn. Stuttering, the young woman apologizes for the silence as she got lost in the scene for a moment. The young man reflects that he just called the character's name and nothing more. But the young actress wonders why her heart is beating so fast. With a confused expression, she tries to understand what exactly it was that she felt.